Questions by Mr. Morrison?
Thank you, Your Honor. Before I begin, I just want to be sure that if I pronounce your name, I pronounce it right. I believe we've been calling you Detective or Investigator Schloop, but I believe you pronounce it Sloop?
Sloop.
Schloop.
Sloop with an L. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, sir. Okay. Is it deputy that they refer to you now as, or?
Yes, sir.
Deputy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
There was a gentleman who testified here yesterday, who I believe came from Missouri with you, John Randall. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Also, we had testimony from Shane Simmons, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you obviously work with them in the same vicinity, general vicinity of law enforcement, correct?
Yes, sir.
One of them indicated that he works for the sheriff's department. The other one seemed to indicate he worked for some narcotics task force. Are they all associated in the sheriff's office?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one of the officers indicated that he was basically second in command, as I understand it, from Sheriff Peckman.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which one of the two was that?
That was Shane Simmons.
Okay. I think he referred to himself as deputy also. Is your deputy designation putting you also in that same position as being like second in command?
No, sir.
Okay. With regard to me asking you questions, if at some point in time you don't understand me, you stop me and ask me, and I hope I can do the same to you if I don't understand you. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With regard to this case, you apparently did an extensive amount of investigation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And would you say that from the Vernon County Sheriff's Department, you would be the lead officer involved in this investigation?
At the time, yes, sir.
Okay. Did that change at some point in time? Someone else take over?
No, sir.
So sitting here today, would it be fair to say that you were and are the lead officer from the Vernon County Sheriff's Department regarding this investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This investigation began with the Charles Scammell home invasion, as we referred to it, and then it ultimately led up to the kidnapping, etc., correct?
Yes, sir.
And it also ended up bringing you to Lake Ozark, Missouri, to have an encounter with the three individuals who had been arrested there. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And there were incidents that occurred there.
Yes, sir.
With regard to those incidents, you were quite satisfied that the home invasion at the Scammell residence took place, as I understand it, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're quite satisfied at this point in time that a kidnapping took place which involved Jeff Mueller from the state of New Jersey, and he was brought to the state of Missouri, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're satisfied from your investigation that three individuals were arrested in connection with the Scammell home invasion as well as the kidnapping. And
Yes,
those
sir.
three individuals are Stangeland, Waddell, and Swarns, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, there was a fourth individual who was involved, and that individual is known as William Barger, Billy Barger, correct?
Yes, sir.
And he became the fourth principal in this particular case from your investigation, am I right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, did you know Billy Barger before the Scammell home invasion occurred?
No, sir.
Did you know Mr. Stangeland before that occurred?
Yes, sir.
And you knew him why?
I had, of course, being a resident of the local area myself for 20-some years, had seen him a few times, and then also when I worked for the local police department, there was an incident where I had involvement with Mr. Stanley.
I see. Now, with regard to your law enforcement involvement then, so you, according to your statement, have been involved with law enforcement in the Nevada, Missouri area for longer than since 2002.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think that was the year you said, 2002, that you went to the Sheriff's Department?
2003.
2003. Okay. I misspoke. I'm correct. With regard to your questioning by Mr. Mueller, He asked you about your interviews with Mr. Stangeland that took place, and we played actually two interviews, even though there might have been three different segments involved. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you had occasion also to speak to Mr. Stangeland at other times other than these two interviews? You watched two recorded interviews?
Yes, sir.
Did you have occasion to speak to Mr. Stangeland at any time other than those two interviews?
Regarding this case, sir?
Yes, regarding this case.
No, sir.
In connection with your investigation in this case, correct me if I'm wrong, but many officers, many law enforcement agencies from different areas even of the country, and including the FBI, participated in providing information for this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And your investigation basically included taking all of that information and coming to some conclusions. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
One of the conclusions that you came to was that sometime during January of 2010, you made a determination to prepare I'll call it an affidavit of probable cause or a statement of probable cause for the arrest of Billy Barger. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was something you took the impetus to do, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that particular document ended up going to a judge in the circuit court, I assume?
Yes, sir.
And you ultimately ended up charging Billy Barger with certain offenses in the state of Missouri, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And those charges arose out of the incidents which testimony has been offered by you today, including the Scammell home invasion as well as the kidnapping from New Jersey, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And when you charged him, you believed that you had sufficient reason to do so, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And as an experienced law enforcement, that was your professional opinion.
Yes, sir.
And you have concluded, I believe, and testified today that you truly believe that Billy Barger was a participant with regard to the acts of Douglas Stangeland, Waddell, and Lonnie Swartz. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
No question about that, is there?
No, sir.
You were asked a question whether Billy Barger was the son of Sonny Barger, and your answer was no. Am I correct?
That's correct.
And that's based upon your investigation, correct?
Correct.
When you performed your investigation, did it include an interview with Billy Barger?
Yes, sir.
And at the time you interviewed him, did you have knowledge that he was not the son of Sonny Barger?
Yes, sir.
Did you have knowledge that he was not a Hell's Angel?
Yes, sir.
Now, you were shown the picture that is in front of you. Could you just give me the number that's on the back?
S158.
Okay, S158. You'd seen that picture before, I am told. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Were you a participant when the search warrant was executed on the Stangeland residence on West Maple? West Maple. I believe it was West Maple.
I was there, but not during its entirety.
I see. You weren't there at the initial entry.
I was there.
Right. And you encountered Billy Barger in the house at that particular time, am I correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
And as a result of your encounter with him, you even incorporated information from that day into your probable cause affidavit, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And where was Billy Barger in the house when you first saw him?
In bed, in the master bedroom.
And was Mr. Stangeland there at that time?
No, sir.
And when you saw Billy Barger in the bedroom in that particular house, did you determine how many other bedrooms there were?
If I was understanding, there's like 3 more bedrooms, maybe 4.
Was anyone else in the bedroom with Mr. Barger at the time?
Not at that time, no, sir.
Other people were in the household, though, I assume.
Yes, sir.
Was Kim Hunter there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, she was.
Did you know her before that occasion?
No, I did not.
Did you interview Kim Hunter in connection with your investigation?
Yes, sir.
And you did so after you had received information, as I understand it, from Mr. Stangeland, which would be either included in the additional written statement or in the oral statements given, which were video, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you indicated that the picture which you have there was taken and shows several individuals whom you identified, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And you identified them because of your investigation or because you knew them before this occasion?
Because of the investigation.
When was that picture taken?
October 2009, it said.
Okay, were you there?
At the time the picture was taken?
Yes.
No, sir.
Do you know whose handwriting is on the back, putting those names on the back?
No, sir, I do not.
Do you know where it was found in the house?
It was in the master bedroom where Billy Barger was located.
So it was among things that were in close proximity to the only person in that room at the time, Billy Barger, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you found other items there as well, am I correct?
I did not. If I may, my main concern was to go there, get Billy Barger out of the house, take him back to the sheriff's office, and start conducting an interview with him.
An interview, or were you going to arrest him?
But
Both. You were going to arrest him based on your investigation of his involvement in these events, correct?
yes, sir.
Did your investigation of these events include an interview with Roy Slates?
Yes, sir.
And when Mr. Mueller showed you the checks, $10,000 checks from his mother's account, he discussed that with you, I assume.
Yes, sir.
And were you told the circumstances surrounding the delivery of those checks to Mr. Barger?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Stangeland told you about it also, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
And was it an indication that prior to the delivery of the checks, there was any violence that occurred between Billy Barger and Mr. Slates?
Judge, can we approach?
Yeah.
We just needed to sort out an issue that has to do again with technical evidence and things, but it has been accomplished. Very good. Go ahead, Counsel.
Did the statement that was given by Mr. Stangeland to you, one of the statements included the events which led to you to go speak to Mr. Slates, basically something that occurred between Mr. Barger and Mr. Slates regarding the $10,000, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And you recall in that statement that Mr. Stangeland told you that he was present when that discussion took place?
Yes, sir.
Do you recall that there was discussion that Mr. Barger punched Royce Slates in the face?
Yes, sir.
With regard to Mr. Mueller questioning you, he asked you a question, and I'm going to use the word, sounded like more a hypothetical situation. If Mr. Stangeland had come to you and said to you, I'm in fear of Billy Barger, he's threatened me, he's threatened my family, etc., etc., what would you have done in that regard? And you said, I believe your answer was, I would have given him protection. Is that a fair statement of what your position would be?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How would you protect this man and his family from the Hells Angels?
After conducting an investigation, if Mr. Stangeland, if I may, had said that he came into my home, he's there not of my own free will, he won't leave, I would have made sure that either myself or maybe another officer or group of us went down there and told Barger to get out of his house. But then
Okay.
we would have started conducting an investigation into all that Mr. Stangeland would have told me.
And you could have guaranteed him and his family the protection that the Hells Angels were not going to come and plant themselves on his front lawn and do something to his family or his home?
Yes, sir.
How would you have done that?
If he absolutely positively believed that that was what was going to happen, I would have done everything I could to make him understand, or to where they see the actual truth, that Barger had no ties whatsoever to the Hells Angels, and that he had nothing to be afraid of.
Why didn't you tell Mr. Stangeland that when he was being interviewed in the second interview when he came back to Vernon County? Why didn't you tell him that Barger was a fraud?
We did not tell him initially that. The first interview with Mr. Stangeland, we did not know that part of it. As I gathered more information from Mr. Stangeland, and then interviewed or talked to the subjects that he told me to make contact with about that, and then found out. Sheriff Peckman found out through resources that he had that Barger was not related to Sonny Barger, that he had no ties to it, that it was all just a sham.
And you knew right from the first interview when you saw him out in the Miller County Jail, you and the other officer, you knew that he was claiming that Mr. Barger had threatened him. Isn't that true?
Yes, sir.
And that it was those threats that caused him to go to the state of New Jersey and kidnap Jeff Mueller. Isn't that true?
That's not correct, sir.
You knew that it was those threats from Billy Barger that caused Mr. Stangeland to go to the Scammell residence in November of 2009, am I correct?
Not entirely, sir.
I see. So you only learned those after your complete investigation was complete?
As
Complete twice, I'm sorry.
the investigation wrapped up, and as it continued, we found out that we learned that, of course, of the sham that Barger was conducting, and that there was times that Doug Stangeland showed that some of his orders he did not follow through with.
One, am I correct?
I think there was it might have been more than one, but I'm not real certain.
Well,
one I know for sure.
LIPE or LIPE, the name was, right? That's the one?
Yes, sir.
What other one? Tell me from your investigation.
I can't say it right off the top of my head, sir.
And Mr. Barger told you, I'm sorry, Mr. Stangeland told you at that time that the reason that he didn't lump up or rough up that individual was because he had been a longtime friend, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, did you ever discuss that incident with Mr. Barger? I'm not asking you what he told you. Did you ever discuss it with Mr. Barger?
Did I ever discuss
Yes.
this, Mr. Burke? No, sir.
You investigated the incident on behalf of the Sheriff's Department of Vernon County, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, the Scammell events happened in Vernon County, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And you went to Miller County because of the similarity of the individuals that were described in the Scammell incident and the kidnapping from New Jersey, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And initially on, you had spoken to various individuals, including Mr. Stangeland's ex-wife, Tammy Stangeland, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And when the prosecutor asked you about his son Derek, you were able to identify his son in the picture that was there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And do you know for a fact that in January of 2010 that Derek was living in the Stangeland residence in Nevada?
No, I did not know.
He was there when the picture was taken in November, I assume, correct?
October 2000.
October 2000. But when the search warrant was executed, he wasn't there, was he?
Not that I'm aware of, sir.
What happened to the charges that were lodged against Billy Barger as a result of your probable cause affidavit?
They're still pending as far as I know.
Do you know whether or not they have ever been presented to a grand jury?
No, sir. I don't, they have not.
Okay. And they go back to 2009, 2010, as I understand it.
Yes, sir.
More than 5 years old.
Yes, sir.
Have you been made privy to the current status of Mr. Barger and the charges against him here in New Jersey?
Yes, sir, I have.
And what is your understanding of Mr. Barger with regard to the charges in New Jersey?
He's pled guilty to the charges that were pending against him here, and sentencing is still waiting.
You indicated that you had a conversation with Mr. Stangeland with regard to an incident that occurred somewhere either on the way to New Jersey or on the way back from New Jersey, in which a patch on a particular motorcyclist, a 1% patch, was exhibited. Do you recall that testimony?
It wasn't on the motorcycle, it was on the motorcycle rider, sir.
I see. The patch was on the right.
Yes, sir.
I misspoke. And did you know what a 1% patch was at that point when Mr. Stangeland mentioned it to you?
I did not, sir.
So you had to do a little research somehow.
I was told what it meant, yes, sir.
Did Mr. Stangeland tell you what it meant?
No, he did not, that if I recall correctly.
Have you ever seen a 1% patch?
Sir.
And you said that Mr. Stangeland's appearance was that he was excited or enthused about that, and the status of that particular individual.
Yes, sir.
What was it that he said about him?
That he'd always want to be part of something like that, like a motorcycle club. And that because he saw this individual who was actually a club member of some motorcycle club somewhere, that he thought that he was just in awe.
That's what he said.
And he didn't say, I'm not real sure that he said those exact words, but it was something to that effect.
Did you include that in any of your reports in connection with this investigation?
No, sir.
That's just something that you recollect independently.
Yes, sir.
Did you determine where exactly that may have occurred, where he made this observation?
I can't remember where he told me that, where that was at.
Mr. Mueller asked you, the prosecutor, Mr. Mueller asked you, with regard to your investigation, whether or not you determined that there was Hell's Angels involvement with Mr. Barger. Recollect that, I assume. That question?
Yes, sir.
And your answer was no.
Yes, sir.
And you, at some point in time, were told by Mr. Stangeland in his interview of another individual who was involved with the Hells Angels as a sergeant at arms for the Midwest chapter. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
That individual by name would have been named Red Calhoun, also known as Deacon. Does that ring a bell?
And yeah, I remember something about that. Yes.
Did you ever research who that person was?
I did not.
Do you know whether or not that person even exists?
I think he does, but it is not within our jurisdiction. Doesn't live in Vernon County.
Did you interview an individual by the name of Foster concerning your investigation?
I don't recall doing that.
There were other officers from your department who were involved other than the two I mentioned. There was a Chris Spratt, am I correct, that was involved in the investigation here?
Yes, sir.
And my understanding is he's no longer employed by your department?
He retired about 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Somewhere 2012, 13, something
Yes, sir.
after this incident
Yeah,
occurred.
2012. Yes, sir.
And to your knowledge, does he still live in the Nevada area?
Yes, sir.
And did you review any reports that had been written by him in connection with this particular series of events?
I vaguely, not that I recall. No, sir.
So you don't know whether or not he generated any reports in connection with this matter or not?
No, sir, I'm not.
When the search warrant was executed at the Stangeland residence in January of 2010, were any firearms found to your knowledge?
No, sir, there was not.
In your investigation, did you determine whether or not William Barger had ownership of any firearms?
Oh, well, yes, sir.
And would that be a positive that he did in fact have firearms?
He did have, yes, sir.
Do you know what kind?
I believe that at one point he allegedly was had been in possession of at least two pistols. One of them was a kind of like a snub-nose 38.
I see. Was the other one a Derringer?
Yes, sir.
We take 5 minutes, Jeff?
Yeah. We'll take a little stretch break, ladies and gentlemen.